I should have adjusted this mic before we started.
Action.
Was that loud?
Welcome to the Chafed and Confused Podcast. I'm Kyle.
I'm Nick.
And we are here to discuss trying hard things, pushing yourselves beyond what you know is possible, mainly through the lens of ultramarathon.
And sometimes other things. Triathletes, people pulling sleds,
Physiotherapists.
Nutritionists, dietitians.
Learning how to listen to your body and use that to chase challenges that you didn't think you'd be capable of doing, but are trying to find your limits.
And work within it. Hey Kyle, why did we start this?
Yeah, Nick and I started this podcast after a summer of improper training. I hurt myself. I trained too poorly and gave myself IT band syndrome. And then Nick went and did a race that turned a little squirrely on him. And
I'd forgotten about that. Thank you for reminding me.
And we thought, why not sit down and debrief kind of what we learned on a podcast. And now we've had the opportunity to sit down with lots of other athletes and people in the outdoor fitness space. And it's been a great journey.
Yeah, I think I really enjoy just learning from these people. You know, every mistake that you make has probably been made by someone before. Let's talk to these human beings and learn from those mistakes so that we can push to be the best versions of ourselves.
Well, having a little fun along the way.
Eating some snacks,
yeah. It's the only reason I trail run is unlimited snacking.
Unlimited snackage.
So, Nick, what's your favorite part of the Chafed and Confused podcast?
My favorite part of the Chafed and Confused podcast is, I think, just the presence that it creates between you, me, and the guest. Seldom do you sit down in such a silo where there's no distractions and you just get to have this really intimate, kind of honest conversation. And I think that's what I really enjoy about it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And yeah, just reaching out to people you never thought you'd talk to, people you look up to on, say social media, and learning from their journey and realizing, everyone's just a human out there making mistakes, making it happen, and we can all learn from each other along the way.
I think I also really enjoy people, watching people relax and open up. I think a lot of people are very nervous to go on a podcast. Lots of people are going to hear it, especially our podcast because it's huge.
Massive.
And they're kind of nervous, but then, we ask the 10 questions and they kind of relax. And then, we start asking very thoughtful questions that we want to know the answer to. And I think a lot of media, especially a lot of these athletes deal with, is just very superficial. It's not actually going, deep into to what they're actually feeling or exploring aspects that traditional media might not. And I think we obviously enjoy that. That's why we're here. But I think the people that we interview enjoy that as well. And just the energy that we get at the end of a show where, we're all buzzing because we just, had this amazing conversation. I think that's really special.
Yeah. So rarely do you just sit down, turn your phone off for an hour and just communicate with another person. And I think, yeah, like you mentioned, we're so used to those clickbaity short snippets, and to be able to sit down with these athletes who are, again, are known for their 20-second reels, but there's so much more to the person and what gets them into or gets them out the door and got them into the sport that they've chosen. It's really fun to find out.
I think it's also really great to humanize every athlete. I mean, we're all just people, and the media loves an overnight success story, but the reality is there are no overnight success stories. These are all people that have trained hard and put in the time, for years and decades, some of them, and it's really cool to actually get the story and to understand that when we're failing ourselves or when we're having a hard time, like everyone's been there. Every great athlete has been through that and just kept going, and I think just humanizing that is really helpful for everyone.
Absolutely. And so our podcast in general, Chafed and Confused, we've been fortunate enough to talk to people internationally, but this video podcast series will be focused solely on the city and town of Revelstoke in British Columbia, where we're based. And we'll be able to chat with, everyday folks. I think Revelstoke is one of those amazing communities where we have everyday folks who work their 9 to 5 or other jobs, and on the side are also incredible athletes.
Just crushers.
Yeah. And so we're going to dive deep into how they balance the work life, how they chase their goals while still, being able to live in this small mountain town. We'll chat with some physiotherapists in town and sort of what they see in the community and how they chase their own goals. I'm excited to get down to brass tacks.
Yeah. I mean, I also think there's something to living in a small mountain town. Like my goal when I moved from out east was I want to be a mountain athlete, and to be a mountain athlete, I need to live in a mountain town. And I think there's value in getting inspired by these people that you see, running and riding their bikes or whatever around town all the time. And, there's always someone to go on an adventure with or to be inspired by. And I think there's really something to be said about that.
On my way here, I passed a guy who must have been trying to set a PR in the marathon because he was ripping down the road. It was awesome.
So we welcome you to come on this journey with us and decide whether you're
chafed
or confused.
Okay, Nick.
Hit me with the questions.
21 questions starting now. If you could be any superhero, who would it be and why?
Oh, I think I always default. I mean, it'd be cool to fly like Superman, but I think I always default to Batman because I'm like, he's just a regular dude who just has some pretty sweet toys.
And a little bit of cash in his pocket.
And a little bit of cash.
Sweet treats or savory snacks? What's your favorite of your choice?
Can I only choose one?
Yes.
I'm going to say sweet treats, although I enjoy savory snacks between the sweet treats.
What's your favorite sweet treat?
Chocolate.
Run in the morning or the evening?
Run in the morning, 100%.
Hill sprints or interval training?
Oh, neither. Yeah. Can I just answer vomit? I'll say intervals.
Who was an athlete you looked up to as a kid?
Ooh, all of them, because they're bigger than me. When I was a kid, the first thing that came to mind was Bo Jackson, who was like the first professional athlete to be a Major League Baseball player and play football. And I got to meet him when I was a kid, like when I was like 8 or 9. He did a thing in Australia, so that was kind of cool. That was the first thing that came to mind.
What does the perfect rest day look like?
Ooh, I think rest is different for everyone, and the perfect rest day might not necessarily be doing nothing. I would say maybe a mountain bike ride or a gravel bike ride, and then maybe a hot tub and a little bit of foam roller action, and then a nice dinner and a movie in bed. Maybe not the dinner in bed, but the movie in bed.
3-inch inseam or 7-inch inseam?
That's a tough question, but I mean, 3 is the correct answer.
If you could make any food into a sports gel, what would it be?
Potato chips.
And what flavor potato chips?
Dill pickle.
Nice. If you could be great at another sport other than running, what would it be?
Snowboarding. Actually, skateboarding. Skateboarding. Yeah, I'm okay at skateboarding, but I'd love to be great at skateboarding.
Nice. Favorite vegetable?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, the potato is very versatile, but that's a really good question. I'm going to go with broccoli because if you cook it well, after you eat it, you just feel good. It's green. It's fluffy. I like the way it looks. I like the way it feels.
What is your go-to cocktail on a night out?
White Russian.
Really?
With oat milk.
Isn't that just vodka?
It's vodka, Kahlua, and triple sec.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or a margarita.
If you could become an animal, what animal would you be?
Oh. I feel like dogs have it pretty good. But maybe a bird just to, experience a different kind of a life. Eagle. Eagle Scout. Actually, I was going to say ptarmigan, but that's not what I meant. Maybe an osprey. Not too big a bird, Still want to be like agile.
What is your least favorite day of the week?
Thursday.
Why?
I don't know. It just came into my head. I was actually like, Thursday's a pretty good day because it's like close to the weekend. They're all great. Every day is the best day of your life.
Wow. Put that on a calendar.
Yeah.
What is the coolest thing you've seen on a run?
Other than me? I don't have a good answer for this question. I thought I saw something the other day, like something really bizarre. Now I can't remember what it was. I got nothing.
Pass. That's a pass.
Yeah, pass.
Hot drinks or cold drinks?
I'm a cold drink guy. But in the fall time, I'll take a little, little mushroom hot chocolate or a little latte, chai latte.
What's your favorite country in the world and why is it Canada?
Well, obviously I immigrated to this country, so Australia's pretty great, but I would have to say Canada. They have oceans, they're cold, but they have mountains, they have good human beings, and this beautiful place, Revelstoke, that we live in.
What's your favorite Australian slang saying?
I'm flat out like a lizard drinking, mate.
What does that mean?
It means that I'm busy.
What is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
I can't remember what the flavor's called. It's in the freezer at home. It's like salted cashew and caramel, I think, something like that. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Explain your daily smoothie recipe to the people of the world.
Dang. Just made one before I came here. I start with a base of water. I put in maybe half a scoop of a protein powder, plant-based, of course, and then I put in, if the season allows, a bunch of chard leaves. Then I cut up a carrot, and then some celery, some dates, peanut butter, and then I put, today it was blueberries and then raspberries from the garden. Sweet and delicious and nutritious.
I guess explain your diet to the people of the world as well to help add some.
I eat a plant-based diet, so I don't eat any animal products except for honey, because honey I think is medicine. So yeah, I guess basically like eat a vegan diet, and I've done that for maybe I think 13 years. I did it as an experiment on performance to begin with, and I just felt really good and kind of stuck with it, and maybe came around on some of the ethical parts of it, but I just feel really good and it works for me, so I stick with it.
As someone who trains for races beyond 100 kilometers, do you find are you challenged by finding enough appropriate fuel at all? Or
I think the biggest misconception about a plant-based diet is the whole protein thing. Of course, where do you get your protein? But if you look at all sports nutrition, with the exception of like some of those dairy-based drinks that you used to be able to get, it's all plant-based. Some of the gummies have gelatin in it, but it's all plant-based. I never have a problem getting enough calories to fuel anything that I do. Yeah.
If you could put a quote on a billboard, what would that quote be?
You're worth it.
I think that was like 25 questions.
Oh, those are good questions. I'm a little worried now. I'm like, oh, mine are that great. What's your name, sir?
My name is Kyle. I'm also known as co-host 1 of the Chafed and Confused podcast. I am training for the Fat Dog 40 miler, so not quite as extensive as Nick's. It'll actually be my first official trail ultramarathon.
There's no need to compare yourself to others.
That's it. We're all on our own journey.
How's your training going?
Training this year has been awesome compared to other years. As mentioned in the prelude, I had a bad injury for training poorly for a previous ultra I had signed up for. I've actually signed up for 4 ultra marathons and I've towed the line at 0. So this year is different. I'm actually in taper now, so basically I can just show up and see what happens. So I'm excited about that. And I actually ran a ultra marathon in training, but
Also very impressive.
yeah. So I'm checking some boxes this year, which, is it the Chafed and Confused bump? Hard to say. I think so.
I would say so too.
Let's get into it. Nick has prepared a much better method of question asking than I did, so thank you, Nick. Question number 1. What's your favorite candy? If I'm trying to pretend to be healthy, it's the real fruit gummies. If I'm not pretending, I think Nerd Clusters are all time right now.
Everyone is all about that. You can't get it right now.
They're good. They got that crunchy and soft and sweet. They're good. I like that. Yeah. What song are you listening to on repeat right now? Well, actually, I was listening to Messy by, I think, Lola Young. That's a tune right now. And there's a remix that's on my running playlist, and it gets the feet moving. So I would say that one, I think. Or some Sam Barber, a little country, because it's summer. So those are my 2 answers. Vacation starts tomorrow. Where you have a week off. Where do you go? What do you do? I just got back from Ontario. I visited family and spent some time at the cottage, which was lovely. And me and my partner are now planning a trip to Greece. So if I could expedite our departure to Greece, I think I would do that. Go to Greece for a little rock climbing and some trail running maybe, but mainly rock climbing. What's the last thing you ordered online? I think the last thing I ordered online were the Chafed and Confused podcast shirts, actually. Or protein powder, I think also was the last thing I ordered online. Plant-based. Run with friends or run alone? I am a huge run with friends. I run alone, but I get scared and sad and lonely, and I much prefer running with people, even though I'm usually the slowest. It's always a great time, and you usually go out for a little treat after or something, and it's much harder to convince yourself to go for a treat after a long run by yourself. What's one of your favorite pastimes that might surprise people? Sewing? I think sewing maybe. I just bought a sewing machine, and I've used it to sew my own trekking pole quiver that I can attach to my running vest. And I've created a water bottle holder for the handlebars. And I've made some little dop kits for friends, and I've sent some stuff for presents. And I think people are always surprised when it shows up, and they're like, "You made that?" I sure did. The things you can learn on YouTube. What's the ideal hug duration in seconds? I believe scientifically you need to do at least 20 or 30 seconds to get the right dopamine registration. So I'll go with that.
I don't think you're looking at me for like, is that the correct?
Yeah. I feel like you know. I feel like you know. My favorite thing about trail running is just been the freedom of it. Just going back to that, we did the rock wall trail in Kootenay National Park as a training run, which was kind of crazy. And to be able to run a 50-kilometer trail that took me 4 days to hike with a camping setup, and to just kind of pare down the gear run lighter, move more efficiently. You get to explore more, see more. And yeah, it's just great to share those experiences with friends while also pushing yourselves. As a dear friend of the show, Emily, has said, we went to a race one weekend and she was just stoked on, going somewhere new with a bunch of good friends and pushing yourselves. It's a pretty fun way to spend a weekend, which I don't think high school Kyle would believe, but now that I'm wiser, I think I believe. What is your favorite aid station snack? Pickle juice. Period. Cut. It's just the best. Save me from bonking at the wildness. What's your favorite post-epic snack or meal? I guess I'm a big sucker for potatoes. So I would say like French fries of some description, and usually paired with like a nice spicy chicken burger. It always goes down a treat. So I'll go with that. But definitely salty French fries. They got to be there. Why are you so nice? Mama raised me right, I guess. I don't know. Treat people like you want to be treated. That's the name of the game, I think. And I try to do that the best I can. Has trail running ever made you bleed? If so, how? Yeah, multiple times. Not for the faint of heart. The toenail one was sad. I kicked a rock pretty good on the rock wall, and that was after like 40K, and I was starting to get a little tired, and knowing I still had 16 kilometers ahead of me, and I just absolutely tried to Pele a rock. And so yeah, a little bit of blood in the toenail, and then just bushwhacking through Devil's Club or getting hit by twigs that a friend has pulled ahead of them, and then it's slingshot back. I'm a bit of a bleeder. I've got soft skin, so it just happens. I've got a good friend, Pat, who says it's not a real climbing session unless Kyle bleeds. And so apparently that's transitioned from climbing to trail running also. Summer or winter? Summer, for sure. Revelstoke's a beautiful city or a town. I keep calling it a city. It's like a metropolis. Revelstoke is an amazing town for its outdoor recreation, and 100% the summer for me is all time. We have the variety of things you can do: climbing, trail running, mountain biking, hiking, hanging out in the river, the lakes. Where winter, I feel like you get a little pigeonholed with just putting planks on your feet and walking up mountains, which is great, but not as much variety. Can you share an embarrassing childhood moment? I feel like my whole childhood was embarrassing. Not right now. I can't think of any. I'll save this one for later. We'll see if we'll come back. I've got some, but I don't know if I want to say them on camera. What is your biggest trail etiquette pet peeve? I think out loud music. Although I was guilty of it a bit this summer because I started to really like running downhill to the Pirates of the Caribbean theme song and like playing them for the people I was running with because it got everyone really jazzed up. Yeah, the like speaker clip to the backpack blasting, your favorite EDM song is kind of, I don't think it's not what maybe everybody wants to listen to. So you don't need to share that. If you're hiking close enough with your friend, just share AirPods. There you go, problem solved. Oh, now we're getting real. Where do you find strength? Dang, Nick, this is a hard question. I think I find strength in just, knowing that our time here is limited. And so why waste time or not pursue things you're passionate about? There's the Stoic philosophy of remember you're going to die is always something that I kind of try and remember when I'm like hum-hawing about a challenge or an objective. It's like, what's the harm in giving something a shot when, you want to look back on your time and know that you gave everything a good effort. So I think that's my answer. What was your first childhood pet? What was its name? How did it die? The first childhood pet that I remember was a cat, a little black and white cat named Rover. And as far as we know, it's not dead. It escaped out of our family's car. My dad was driving up to the cottage with it and left the window open when he went to go get some McDonald's. And it jumped out of the car and ran off into the woods, and he was never able to find it. It is a Rover. And it's like Schrodinger's cat now. Is it dead? Is it alive? We'll never know. So my first pet never died. It just disappeared. What trail shoes are you running in right now? I was a big fan this summer of Ultras, but I think for the fat dog, for the longer run, I'm going to wear a pair of Adidas Terex. I just bought a new pair. I know, I really like them. And the Ultras I find are a little big and they kind of slip around my foot. I don't know if I have as wide a foot as I originally thought. But they're a white pair of shoes, and I took them on a trail in Ontario, and they're now a light brown pair of shoes. If you could go on a trail run with anyone dead or alive, who'd it be? Nick Whitbread. Like a historic figure? I mean, I was always a big fan of Sir Edmund Hillary. I think it'd be interesting to talk to him about, trying, because that's really pushing the limits at things that we weren't sure was possible, to climb Mount Everest. The first confirmed ascent of Mount Everest. George Mallory we're not sure, TBD. So I think that'd be interesting. I did a project on him when I was in grade 6, and I've always been fascinated about mountaineering. So I think that'd be cool. Is Nick your best friend? Nope. He's my favorite podcasting friend. What is your favorite piece of trail running gear? I would say, anything that carries snacks is a friend of mine. And I recently bought a running belt that just allowed me to carry like a little bit of water, snacks, and my phone. And so I didn't feel so bulky, and I could do, up to 20 kilometers with that quite happily, which was kind of a majority of my running. And so I think my trail running belt is my favorite piece of trail running gear. I love my vest, but it's a bit big, and, you end up carrying a lot more than you need. Although for the fat dog, it has a pretty substantial mandatory gear list that I need to figure out tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. Why do you love gear so much? I live life by 3 rules, or the rule of 3s, and it's gear, style, safety. So you have good gear, you got good style, you put safety third, and you're going to have a good time. And as bad as it sounds, most of the time gear shouldn't change your performance, but there are certain sports and things where your gear does play quite a role in your success or your enjoyment of an activity. Mountain biking, for one, I think I upgraded a mountain bike and didn't realize how much I was kind of missing out on, confidence on the trail, but having a bike that could handle my inability to ride a bike made my experience a lot better. Skiing, you have cool, good skis, you're going to feel a little better. You might carve a little harder, where if you're riding, 2x4s, it's not going to go as well. So I think gear has its place. I know, especially, trail running is one of those beautiful sports where you can kind of do it in anything. There's incredible athletes who run in sandals, and I just don't understand it, but it's great that there's a variety of skills and levels, and the gear just kind of is an assistant. You're in a race, you can no longer run, DNF or walk it in. Walking it in. Yeah. When we did the training run at the rock wall, we all had talked about there was a couple spur trails that would take you back to the highway. And I remember at one point talking to Emily being like, well, I'm glad we passed it without talking about it, because I was like right in that window of, I could just run 7K and get to the highway and hitchhike back to the car, and that would be a good day for me still. But at that point, we'd already passed it, and it was just like, all right. And so I ended up kind of having to walk it in a little bit and a run walk, but I didn't have the option. And that was good, I think, mentally, for just knowing that you could just keep moving, trying to suck down gels that just weren't going down, but walk it in. And at least at Fat Dog, the whole 7K home is downhill. So I hear. Would you rather be able to climb a 12C or run 100 miles? For those who don't know, 512C is a level of rock climbing grade that is part of the Yosemite decimal system, which is a whole other thing, but we won't get into that. And it's actually 1 grade harder than I've ever climbed. I think climb harder. I don't know if I'm keen to run 100 miles. We'll see. Yeah, like there's just trail running. I feel like you can train and kind of hit that physical level, and then it just becomes mental. Where, I mean, rock climbing's similar, where you train and get to a certain, strength level for what you're climbing. And then it really just becomes like mental of figuring out it's a puzzle. So I think, yeah, I like climbing just for the puzzle, and, you have to turn your brain off and try and pull something together. So I would say I'd like to be able to climb 12C, or my goal was 13A this year, but kind of running on the way. So we'll see what happens. In the end, what really matters is having a good time and making sure people around you are laughing. Am I chafed or confused? 100% confused, because with these fancy underpants Nick bought me, I could never be chafed.
Thanks very much, Jeffrey.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure, as always. All right, so now that you've gotten to know Nick and I a little better, we hope you're excited for the rest of the journey while we sit down with local athletes and performance people in Revelstoke, and hopefully learn a little bit along the way.
We are
Chafed
and confused.
Good night.